nazzala al-Qur'an al-Karim alladhi ja'alahu hujjatal islami 'alal 'alamin. Salatan wa salaman daimaini mutalazimaini ala rasulillahil amin alladhi kana sahibad dinil qawim wasyiratil mustaqim wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahu min ummatihi ila yaumiddin amma ba'd.
The Honorable to the Rector of Sri Jaga State Islamic University, Professor Dr. Pir Al-Makin SAG MA, Dean Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, Professor Dr. Hajar Marhumah MPD, our distinguished invited speakers, our lecturer and staff of the Dakwah Management Department, Dakwah and Communication Faculty, and all the audience and participants. First of all, let's thanks to God Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has been giving us mercies and blessings. So we attend to this event today without any obstacle in this happy place and time. Secondly, salawat and salam with our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from the darkness into the lightness in this world as well as in the next world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International Dakwah Management Conference 2021. By the topic, Managing Multicultural Dakwah in Southeast Asia. Here I'm Sofi Nafi, lecturer of Dakwah Management Department, and Kuni Hasana, student of Social Work Department, Dakwah and Communication Faculty, as the master of ceremony will guide the conference today. But before starting our agenda, let us explain the agenda schedule of this conference. The first agenda is opening. The second is reciting Holy Quran. And the third one is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and hymn of Sri Jaga State Islamic University. The fourth is speech by some speakers. And the fifth is the main section, International Dakwah Management Conference 2021. And the last is closing. Ladies and gentlemen, the first agenda is opening. Let's start our agenda today by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before we go to the next agenda, let's explain the role of this conference today. The role of International Dakwah Management Conference 2021. The first, make sure that you have a stable network connection for your best experience, or otherwise you will be very often interrupted or automatically disconnected. The second, use your real name for your account display name. And the third, it is suggested to change your Zoom display setting into speaker view in order to focus on what speakers are talking. The fourth, please make sure that your microphone is muted on the mute mode in order to not disturb the discussion. The host, the authority to mute the microphone of all participants. The fifth, you may write your question and comment at the chat room, and the committee will collect and deliver them to the chair and the speakers. Six, participants with disabilities who need sign language can pin their screen to user SLI. And the last one, let's get this conference conferred together.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are the rules of this conference today. And we need to inform to you all that in the end of this session, there will be a link of attendance. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next agenda is reading the Holy Quran that will be read by Muhammad Ali Fathullah, student of Dakwah Management Department, Dakwah and Communication Faculty, Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University. Muhammad Ali Fathullah is the delegation of International Youth Leader Program Batch 22, Chapter Turkey 2021, and Duta Genre of Majalengka 2021. To Muhammad Ali Fatullah, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to Muhammad Ali Fatullah. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is sing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and hymn of Surakarta State Islamic University. To all ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Sunan Kalijaga Islam, asas tujuanmu membangun citra keagungan bangsa berdasar Pancasila. Integrasikan, interkoneksikan agama dan ilmu semesta. Kembangkan daya patriot Nusa tanah air, bintang baktimu. Jayalah negara, jayalah bangsa, UIN berkarya nyata. UIN Sunan Kalijaga Islam, asas tujuanmu membangun citra keagungan bangsa berdasar Pancasila. Integrasikan, interkoneksikan agama dan ilmu semesta. Kembangkan daya patriot Nusa tanah air, bintang baktimu. Jayalah negara, jayalah bangsa, UIN berkarya nyata.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Moving on to the speech by some speakers. The first is opening speech from our rector of Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University to Professor Dr. Phil Almakin SAGMA. The time is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the committee for holding here, Ibu Dean of the Ibu Profesor Dr. Emma Marhumah, Vice Dean, Bapak Dr. Mustafa, Professor Jasmini, and Bapak, all the head of the department, secretary of the departments, all lecturers, professors, students, and everybody who involved in this conference. I'm very happy and very to see this conference. And please, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all guest speakers from Indonesia and outside Indonesia. Thank you very much for your contributions, for your time, for your experience to be shared in this good meeting. And indeed, this is a good opportunity for us to learn from each other. My apology because I'm still on the way to my office and will be in Jakarta this evening. However, I would like to say something that perhaps, thank you and also welcome to everybody that indeed the Faculty of Islamic Communication, the Faculty of Dakwah and Community Engagement is under a good shape, under leadership of Ibu Profesor Emma Marhumah. And this conference try to connect Indonesia with Southeast Asian countries. I think it's a good theme. And if we look at our current relation between one country to another in the Southeast Asia region, I think we need to revisit, because most of us has a good connection with either Western countries in Europe, America, or Australia, or with Middle Eastern countries, because we are Muslims, and Middle Eastern countries mostly embrace Islam. So we have a strong connection in theology. However, oftentimes we forget about our close neighbor like Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Timor-Leste, and Laos, Cambodia. And I think in the future, we cannot make a progress except we cooperate with each other. And particularly in the Southeast Asia, we should work harder to make our collaboration and working together into reality. Next year, 2022, Indonesia will become host of a G20. Will be held in Bali. And I think this is a good opportunity for Indonesia to show to the world that our country welcome any friendship, any brotherhood with other countries, not only in Southeast Asia, but also in the broader regions, in the broader worldwide connections. And we must be ready. And particularly, Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University, that is our university, should be prepared to welcome any kind of collaboration, to welcome any kind of working together, to welcome any kind of publication together, at least like this opportunity that is a joint conference. And next year, 2022, I think is a good mark or watershed for all of us, for Indonesians, that Indonesia is part of the world and Indonesia should be prepared, should be ready to welcome, to engage in the world in economy, social, politics, and religion. And particularly, next year's theme is about dialogue among civilizations. And Indonesia consists of many religious beliefs, religious traditions, could be a good example that in this world we are living together with people with the different beliefs, different faiths, and different religions. And I think we could cultivate together. We should learn. Indonesia is open, and I think Sunan Kalijaga should play a greater role because we are part of academic community. We are part of academic society. We should give a good example that working together should be beyond the border of countries. Working together should go beyond so many borders of nationhood, of religions, of ethnicities, of ideologies, of political identity. And perhaps 2023, if I'm not mistaken, or 2023, Indonesia again will be entrusted as the head of Southeast Asian nation or ASEAN. And this also great opportunity. 2022, we have G20. 2023, we will lead Southeast Asian Nations, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And Indonesia will play a greater role in this region and in the world. And we as a community of academic should take a bigger role, that academic is a field where we could meet each other, a field where we work together, a field where we could agree or disagree without breaking our friendship. We can make a connection beyond borders, and we should at least prove to ourselves that Sunan Kalijaga is ready to welcome any and to collaboration. Once again, and this can connect closely will help us to make a better friendship, better brotherhood among our neighbors, particularly close neighbors. And I would like to extend once again my gratitude to everybody involved in this conference, participants, speakers, listeners, and particularly to the committee for sacrificing their time, their energy to make this happen. And the last but not least, let us wish the pandemic COVID-19 should be over soon, and then we could gather physically, we meet each other, we celebrate together, and please keep yourself healthy and be happy. Thank you very much for this short remark, and congratulations and good day everybody, and have fun. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Professor Dr. Phil Al-Makin for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is welcoming speech will be delivered by the Dean of Dakwah and Communication Faculty to Professor Dr. Hajah Marhumah MPD. The time is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahilladzi qala fi kitabihil karim. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dzakarin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum syu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'du. Excellencies, Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga Yogyakarta, Bapak Prof. Al-Makin, thank you. Honorable our special speaker in this international conference, Associate Professor Dr. Hajah Batania Kartika, hadir from International Islamic University Malaysia, Wing PhD from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. I'm sorry if I mistake. Furqan Hidayat from University of Tehran, Iran. Nur Syahril bin Saad from ISEAS Yusuf Ishak Institute, Singapore. Dr. Abdul Razak from Walailak University, Thailand.
Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak Dr. Andi Darmawan,
Assalamualaikum.
Sunan Kalijaga Yogyakarta. Assalamualaikum, Ustaz.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, praises and thanks always be given to our God, the most merciful and the powerful Saint, who has given us a lot mercies and blessing, so that we can gather together and conduct this activity online amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The secondly, as a Dean of Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, I would like to thanks to all speakers who have been willing to explain, share, and discuss their ideas and experiences on this important topic to all of us. May thanks also goes to all the committee who particularly head of Dakwah and Management Study Program, Fakultas Dakwah and Communication UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. Before addressing the topic of international conference as part of our internalization program, I would like to say that the purpose of this international seminar is to enrich and expand the students, the lecturer, and public society understanding and knowledge about how to manage multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia, and also to expand our network, like Pak Rektor say before, and cooperation with scholar, cooperation with researcher, and also with activists and agencies in Indonesia or in Southeast Asia. Thank you for committee who has addressed the topic and this international conference, namely managing multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia. I think this topic is significant and worth to discuss given the recent development on how COVID-19 pandemic has affected religion activities and preaching activities in particular. As part of scholarly communities, I think we have to address these issues and contribute to it, not only theorizing, but also seeking for possible answer to solve these problems. Dakwah in preaching is an essential part of Islam, I think. The practice of Islam conversion and the spread of Islamic teaching and ideologies are conducted through the practice and preaching. In the context of Indonesia, I think Islamic preaching manifests in diverse form, ranging from speech from Muslim preaches, Islamic activism, Islamic organization to Islamic philanthropies. The issues of dakwah has increasing significant attention from scholars given its dynamic development in Indonesia. Scholars call this contemporary phenomenon in this emergence of religious marketplace or pasar keagamaan, I think. In Indonesia, in which new Islamic authorities of religious emerge, challenging established traditional Islamic authorities. With the rise of new media, this issue become more complicated, I think. For example, many preachers from both from the moderate group and radical groups are new using social media to attract many followers, many confining their preaching and disseminating their ideology. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the issues of dakwah has become more interesting as the government has implemented high scale of social restriction. We call pembatasan sosial berskala besar. Several studies have demonstrated that religious or preaching activists have become super spread COVID-19 virus. Now, the question is then, how has COVID-19 pandemic impacted preaching activities? How do Muslim preacher and Islamic organization respond to this phenomenon? I think we must discuss about this. Last but not least, we hope that this international conference be beneficial for us. Terima kasih semuanya, terima kasih, syukron katsiro, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah, wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much to Professor Marhumah for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the main session. This is International Dakwah Management Conference 2021 by the topic Managing Multicultural Dakwah in Southeast Asia. These are the speakers of the first conference. Associate Professor Dr. Hajah Betania Kartika, Lecturer of International Islamic University, Malaysia. Hewai Wang, PhD, from Kebangsaan University, Malaysia. Dr. Abdul Razak Malay, MA, from Walaylag University, Thailand. This first conference will be guided by the moderator Bayu Mitra Kusuma, MAP, Lecturer of Dakwah Management Department, Malaysia State Islamic University. He is also PhD candidate in National Donghua University, Taiwan. To Bayu Mitra Kusuma as the moderator, the time is yours.
Thank you very much for the chance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to International Conference on Managing Multicultural Dakwah in Southeast Asia. This special event was organized by the Department of Dakwah Management, Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University, or UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, currently we are entering the first session for this international conference. Previously, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bayu Mitra Diatna Kusuma. You can call me Bayu. I'm a lecturer at the MD Department, Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, and PhD student in Asia Pacific Regional Studies, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, National Donghua University. And especially I want to say hello to my students at MD Department, especially to new students. Maybe some of you have never seen me because I have not taught for a semester because I have a doctoral study in Taiwan. Ladies and gentlemen, in this session, I will be responsible as a moderator who will accompany all of you for our discussion for up to 1.5 hours or 90 minutes onwards. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give a little introduction before we go to our first speaker. Indonesia is known as a pluralistic nation, which is characterized by many ethnicities, tribes, religion, languages, cultures, and customs, so that Indonesia is known as a multicultural country. As the New Order regime fell, the influence of the transnational Islamic movement grew stronger and resulted in the attitude of some Muslims in Indonesia becoming harsh and puritanical. As a result, the existence of cultural dakwah is threatened. That's what's happened in Indonesia. And then how about in Malaysia and Thailand, our neighboring country? To discuss more deeply about this phenomena, we have three extraordinary speakers. In this session, we have three outstanding speakers who will present their research and thought related to multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia. They are Assistant Professor Dr. Hajah Betania Kartika from International Islamic University of Malaysia, or IIUM, and then Dr. Hewai Wang, please correct me if I wrong to spell your name, from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, or the National University of Malaysia, and also Dr. Abdul Razak Panemali from Walaylag University of Thailand. We will give each speaker approximately 20 minutes. Once again, approximately 20 minutes. And then we will proceed to the question and answer session, Q&A session. We remind the audience to turn off your microphone so that our discussion is more conducive. And for the audience who want to ask, you can submit your question in the chat room. And later I will choose some strategic question to be addressed to the speaker, or if the time is enough, you can raise your hand. And now let's enjoy the presentation from our first speaker. I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Hajah Betania Kartika. Professor Betania, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Assistant Professor Dr. Hajah Betaria Kartika is an teaching staff at the International Institute for Halal Research and Training, IIUM, or also known as Universitas Islam Antarbangsa Malaysia in Gombak. She also a former head in this institute. She holds a bachelor and master degree in Usuluddin from the International Islamic University of Islamabad, Pakistan, and PhD in Quran and Sunnah from University Malaya. She taught several courses like contemporary Islamic ruling on halal issues, ethics and Thayyiban concept in halal product and services, fikih for halal industry, etc. For Professor Betaria Kartika, now time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Bayu. Yeah. Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ba'd. First of all, I would like to thank the committee of Universitas Islam Negeri Sunan Kalijaga. Particularly, I would like to thank Dr. Andi Dermawan, who has very been kind to invite me in this particular program. I hope I will not disappoint him particularly, and everyone, of course, in general. But yes, after discussing, what should I talk at this particular moment, it came up with the decision that I would love to talk about the Dakwah in general, and I would love to as well share my own experience. So it is not particularly here only in Malaysia, but in other countries as well. And indeed, a little about the international multicultural, like what we plan to have. Okay, so the time is only 20 minutes. Thank you anyway. I would love to just show the picture, I guess, but it is really good to start with some verses as well. Mr. Bayu, can I share my own screen? May I?
Okay, please for the Mas Nafi, can you help me to share the screen?
Yeah, I'm done. I have my own screen actually.
It's done.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk more this particular moment is that, first of all, why do we do Dakwah? And that's, to me, is very, very important to understand. Why do we do it? Okay, so I'll try to be very quick. So Mr. Bayu, give me like before 5 minutes to end, alert me.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, because here, Cikgu, Cikgu, the teacher, they like to talk and talk. So first of all, why Dakwah? Yeah, why are we doing all this? Why are we doing Dakwah everywhere, anytime? I would like to recall one of the ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah in the verse 13. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. So maybe I should stop there. So mention of Muhammad, remember, when your Lord said to the angels, indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, Khalifa. And in most of the meaning of Khalifa is actually the caretaker. Yeah, so to be a person who takes care of ourselves, of the community, of the society, of others. So that's the reason why we are doing Dakwah, because we care. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so this earth, mashallah, is very wide. So that's why we are doing that everywhere. The other verse that I would like to recall is that from Surah Ali Imran, ayah number 110 here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Okay, so over here is the same thing that we are characterized as Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are characterized as Khaira Ummah, is the best nation for mankind. Why are we the best? So, or the same thing, to be the best, there is a condition, syarat. What is the syarat? Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar, which is you enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong and believe in Allah. So, of course, in this particular ayah that we understand, Allahu a'lam bis-sawab, that we like to be the best nation with this condition when we do al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi 'anil munkar, and at the same time we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no way that we have to wait until I have to be good, very, very good first, and then I do al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi 'anil munkar. So all the time, every time, yeah, it is possible, we do that as the effort that we are making it. So when we do al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi 'anil munkar, it as well reminds us that we have to do the good things as well and forbid the bad things. So what is actually the meaning of da'wah itself? Yeah, the meaning of da'wah itself is that it is calling others to way of Allah. And if you try to look at the verses in Quran, of course, others in Hadith as well, yeah, hundreds of them, even in Quran as well, hundreds of them. But particularly the word da'wah, yeah, da'wah, is mentioned 4 times in Quran. Yeah, da'wah. The first is da'wah to da'i, yeah, the invocations of the supplicants. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. If any of my servants ask you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about me, Allah tell them that I'm so close to them, that I'm very near. So look at the word da'wah here. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. Okay, so I will come. Yeah, I will recall. I will reply. Yeah, I will attend any dua, any supplication, doa, yeah, any supplication of the person who calls me. The same thing as well here, yeah. Number 2 is da'watul haq. Number 3 is da'wah min al-ard, and number 4 is da'wah fid dunya. So if we try to look at this, the word da'wah and da'wah and da'wah, and that's all 4. Others, the meaning is da'wah, calling, yeah, but not in particularly says da'wah. So we see here, for example, the da'wah, yeah, here is the call upon him alone is the truth. Okay, the supplication again, and da'wah. So most of the da'wah, if we try to look at these 4 particular verses, the meaning, yeah, the meaning of all this da'wah is calling, yeah. The next is the definitions of da'wah itself. I try to read many of the definitions of da'wah. Yeah, when we say, hey, let's do da'wah. What is actually da'wah? Yeah, there are so many definitions, but why I particularly choose this? Yeah, Hisham At-Talib, a founding member of the International Institute of Islamic Thought, yeah, defines da'wah as the vehicle, so the means, yeah, through which Muslims disseminate knowledge and call others to adopt and practice holistic Islamic beliefs and practices. So da'wah efforts are geared towards both Muslims in an effort to strengthen or correct their understanding and beliefs of their faith, as well as for the non-Muslims in an effort to spread correct knowledge of Islam and make the message available to all who wish to embrace it voluntarily. So the da'wah for both Muslims as well as for the non-Muslims. So here, many definitions are given to Islamic da'wah. They describe the same. That is to say that Islamic da'wah is a call for people to know, then accept and practice Islam as the way of life. It is also a process of reviving the Islamic ways and its system in individual and societal life. So what are the main factors of da'wah? Number one is the content of da'wah itself. Number two is the caller, the da'i, da'i. And number three is the called, al-mad'u, okay? And number four is means or manahij or asalib, uslub, manhaj, uslub. These are the main factors for a da'wah to be completed. So when it comes to the content, what do we convey? What is the caller or the da'i conveying to the al-mad'u? So of course we understand that what we convey is a risalah al-islamiyah, and the highest one, like what rusul, al-anbiya is the risalah al-ilahiyah, or the oneness of God. And then the ultimate of the da'wah is the total obedience to Allah, sincerely from one's heart in his inward and outward, in his private as well as public life. So the ultimate aim, we understand from Islam and Iman, what is the highest one? Akhlaq. It has to be shown, to be seen in the akhlaq of this person, both of al-da'i and hopefully to al-mad'u. And we know that ihsan is an ta'budallah ka'annaka tarahu fa'in lam takun tarahu fa'innahu yarahu. And that is the highest one. You worship Allah as if you see him. You know how we do when we are working and our boss is there, or our supervisor is right before our eyes watching what we are doing? We are trying to do our best. So this one, the control, the ultimate controller is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You worship Allah as if you see him, and if you don't, know that he indeed sees you. Okay, and who's the caller? It's us, it's us. Now we are talking about ourselves. What should we do? We do da'wah at all time because we are Khalifa, because we are the caretaker, because we care. And who are the called? Of course, the humankind. So we will have some of the verses of the Quran that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Rasul alaihi salatu wasallam, they were sent to all the humankind. But how do we do da'wah? How do we do da'wah? So we know one verse in Quran which says that A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah. Wisdom. So when you call others, you call with wisdom. Okay? Wal maw'adatil hasanah, and with the good instruction, with the good way. That's why in one of the verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, even to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, walau kunta faddan ghalidhal qalbi lan faddu min hawlik. If you are very harsh, the people will turn away. So wajadilhum, and if you have to argue in the best way as well. Billati hiya ahsan. So here, okay, I try to see when we always say bil hikmah, call people with hikmah. What is the meaning of hikmah? So in Tafsir al-Jalalain, the hikmah itself means Quran. We have to always refer to what Quran is saying. And Imam al-Jurjani in Ta'rifat defines that hikmah is all this. Maybe later I will share this with the committee so you can share with others. A science in which human being searches to disclose realities of things as they existed in nature by using human capability. So anything that you can do to convey your message, to convey your da'wah, do it. It doesn't matter what your professionalism is. If I'm a teacher, if I'm an engineer, if I'm a doctor, if I'm a businessman, whatever we can, we do it. So what? So that the things that we convey can come to the truth and can be received or accepted by other people. So of course, in this case, yeah, I would like to, before I give this an example, I would like you to ponder again to the verses that has the verse that has been mentioned a couple times, yeah, by Ibu Dekan, by the Qari, yeah, the ayah, A'udhu billahi minasyaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dzakari wa untha, wa ja'alnakum syu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. Okay, so I underline the word lita'arafu here. Okay, so this is actually, yeah, this is actually the, what is it called? The uslub, the best uslub, yeah, to me, wallahu alam bisawab, is that you must know who is the addressee, who is the called, who is al-mad'u. You must know. That's why here, all mankind, all people, these are the mad'u. Indeed, we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have created you from male, female, our mad'u, our attendees, our addresses can be male, can be female, can be from different people, different nations, different tribes. So it cannot be done unless we know who are they. To know what is their background, what where they come from, what language they speak, what the culture they embrace, yeah, as well whether he's Muslim or non-Muslim. The uslub can be changed. The message can be the same. You convey the same exactly message to different peoples. You may need different, different methods. Why? Because those people, they have also different backgrounds. Yeah, this is one of the way of how we do it. So, mashallah, yeah, we need to really understand the ta'arafu here. If we keep on saying tak kenal tak sayang, correct? Tak kenal tak sayang, if we don't know, we cannot love, mean that how can I convey in the best way? Yeah. So, for example, when Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yeah, he was approached by young men. Yeah, this is the one that I wrote here all the way down here. When he was approached by the young men, he was asking the Prophet, Ya Prophet, yeah, Ya Nabi Allah, I want to do zina. Oops, I want to commit adultery. So was Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam angry? And what is this? Of course not. Yeah, he is a young man. So how Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam approached him? He was asking, will you do zina to your mother? No, of course not. To your sister? No. To your this. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds him of this girl or woman or lady that he is going to do zina with, okay? Either the mother of someone, either the sister of someone, either the daughter of someone, and he doesn't want this to happen with them. So because of that, he understood very well, I shouldn't do it because I don't want this to happen to my mother, to my sister, to my daughter. Yeah. So you see how the uslub, of course, it's different from one person to another person. Let's say if the person who asked wasn't a young boy, let's say the person who asked was already the alim, the answer might be as well different. So we have to remember this, yeah. We have all, because we are all, inshallah, du'at, we are all da'i, yeah, the caller to the right, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, wa bitawfiqih. We must have these 4 characteristics, which are very, very important. Number 1, okay, as-sidq, al-amanah, at-tabligh, al-fatana. And we know that these are the characteristics of messengers, okay? We are messenger in our own way, in our own capacity. Why am I underlining or highlighting al-fatana? What does it mean?
Professor Betaria, I'm so sorry. You only have 5 minutes left. Thank you.
Al-fatana, yeah, al-fatana means that we are smart. Smart means that you have to look at who are the mad'u, who are the addressee, okay? So we have to be smart, yeah, when it comes to different people, different mad'u, different uslub. No worry, Mr. Bayu. I'm only showing pictures after this. Yeah. So make sure that most of people, or most of non-Muslims especially, they don't read Quran, they don't read Hadith, they don't read all these kutubut durat. They read you, they read us. So we must walk the talk, not only talking and talking, but we walk ourselves, the message that we want to share. Yeah. So your professionalism, your occupations, anything you do, they are all means to da'wah. Yeah. So for example, here, I'm just showing the pictures now, Mr. Bayu, may I? Okay, yeah, for example, when I was in America and went to Canada, I have one example of the person, he wasn't Muslim, alhamdulillah, Allah gave him hidayah. He embraced Islam. When he asked me whether if I embrace Islam, do I have to pray? And instead, I didn't answer yes or no, but I give an example. Yeah, an example, because he was lost, police, the traffic policeman. Okay, so I said, if someone is violating the red light, in that red, yellow, and blue, the traffic light, I was asking him, are you in trouble? He said, no. Why am I in trouble? Who is in trouble? I said, the driver is in trouble. He is making himself into problem and others into problem. So, but he is safe. So then he understood what I meant, that he knows that the person is praying, worshiping Allah is not God's need. Allah doesn't need us to pray, doesn't need us to worship him. He is still God forever. We are the one who need him all the time for our safety, for everything. So these are the example. Yeah, I'm just sharing the pictures now. The example of multiracial. In the United Nations, when I give the talk, especially now people in the United Nations, they talk about SDG, yeah, and then it was from the 124 nations, yeah, when I was there and then because SDG is the main agenda, okay, SDG, yes, Sustainable Development Goal. So I was there talking about SDG as well. And then in that particular time, we try to instill the Islamic values. Yeah. So what I want to say is that doesn't matter what you are doing, try to always instill, especially in your akhlaq. Okay. And when you try to give anything, you instill the Islamic da'wah. So yeah, it's just a picture. Yeah. This was 124 people from different nations. And I'll give you an example of how you can go here and there, because lita'arafu. So the most important thing before you deliver your da'wah, yeah, you must know who are the addressee. You ask people who will listen to my speech, for example, and that will be easier for you. And mashallah, this is from the Dakwah, yeah, Dakwah and Management, right? From UIN, and subhanallah. You know, of course, a lot better than that, but just sharing my own. This is with the Tentara Angkatan Udara, yeah, Air Force in Sungai Besi. This in Perak. This is orang asli in the jungles. Of course, it's all different method, yeah. This is the school children, okay. This is community in general in Langkawi. This is in Sabah, Pulau Sampurna. This is in Johor and Negeri Sembilan. So every time we go to different place, we should use a different method. So this is in different countries, yeah, in Uzbekistan, okay, as well as in the Philippines. Sorry, why there is picture here. And then this was in Chennai, in India. This was also hard because almost everyone was non-Muslim, okay, Hindus. This in Solo, yeah, in my own country. And then in Cambodia, in Thailand, and in many other different places. This is Dakwah through media, social media, so the TV here in Malaysia, the RTM, and yeah, and you can also do the Dakwah through your business. Yeah, I do, alhamdulillah, business, and it's inspiring people. I teach them as well how to do the business, yeah, So you see, mashallah, so good, right? Bakso, who doesn't know bakso? And through each and all this activity, how do we do business? Of course, there are lots of chances, and don't miss any chance. Yeah, it's yours to always use it. And dakwah through medical or social sciences or therapists. These are all medical doctors. I'm teaching them the Korean hand therapy. Okay, so that's all from me. I will close my we can say sharing this morning. Yeah, Pak Bayu, can I still share only one syair? One syair.
Okay, sure.
Yes. When do we start? This Pak Bayu. We have lots of theories in our heads. Oh, I know that what should be this, that what should be that. But where do we start? When do we start? We start now. Because we never know when we are returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should play our role first. So when we go, we depart, we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa kafa billahi shahida. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the witness that we have done our part. Okay. This syair is by Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu. Ali bin Abi Talib. Alaika bitaqwallahi in kunta ghafila. يأتيك بالأرزاق من حيث لا تدري فكيف تخاف الفقر والله رازقا فقد رزق الطير والحوت في البحر ومن ظن أن الرزق يأتي بقوة ما أكل العصفور شيئا مع النسر تزول عن الدنيا فإنك لا تدري إذا جن عليك الليل هل تعيش إلى الفجر فكم من صحيح مات من غير علة وكم من سقيم عاش حينا من الدهر وكم من فتى أمسى وأصبح ضاحكا وأكفانه في الغيب تنسج وهو لا يدري فمن عاش ألفا أو ألفين فلا بد من يوم يسير إلى القبر. So before the times, before the death comes to pick us up, so let's do our part. We do our best, and it doesn't matter. The successful or not successful is not in our hand. It's in Allah's hand. We are not giving them hidayah. Laisa alayka hudahum walakinna Allah yahdi man yasha. But our part is to convey. Whether or not our mad'u will accept it or not, it's not in our hand. Wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. Wallahu waliyyu tawfiq was-sadad. Wallahu, thank you. Wallahu a'lam bis-sawab. Thank you, Pak Bayu.
Okay, thank you very much. Terima kasih, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give big applause to the Professor with your reaction panel, something like this.
MashaAllah, I have my beta, my student, the PhD student from Bangladesh is attending.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Profesor Betaria telah berkongsi pasal pesanan dakwah and also its activity dalam Al-Quran secara berkesan. I try to speak in Malay language, Professor. Okay, terima kasih Profesor Betaria. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's we move to our second speaker. I would like to invite, still from Malaysia, Dr. Hewai Weng. Perhaps I would like to call him Dr. Weng. Dr. Weng, can you hear my voice?
Yeah, bisa. Yeah, can.
Okay. Okay. I would like to introduce Dr. Hewai Weng. He is a research fellow at the Institute of Malaysian and International Studies at the National University of Malaysia. He holds Bachelor of Science from University Technology Malaysia, and then Master of Philosophy in History and Sociology from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, PhD in Political Science and Anthropology from the Australian National University, and also he also a postdoctoral research fellow at the International Institute for Asian Studies in Leiden, the Netherlands. Today, Dr. Wang will present about the Chinese Muslim preaching activities in Malaysia and Indonesia. Dr. Wang, 20 minutes, time is yours.
Okay, yeah, Sam Setra, selamat pagi, good morning, and yeah, many thanks to Pak Bayu and also Ibu Hikmah and the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share with you my research on Chinese Muslims and also cultural dakwah in Malaysia and Indonesia. I think some of you might already listen to me like 1 month ago or a few weeks ago on Chinese Muslim in Indonesia. So I will repeat a little bit, but I also talk some about cases in Malaysia. So in my presentation today, I will begin with a brief discussion on Chinese Muslim histories, and then followed by contemporary outlook of Chinese Muslims identities in both Malaysia and also Indonesia. And then I highlight two topics, Chinese style mosques and also Chinese New Year celebrations organized by Chinese Muslims to examine trends of cultural dakwah in both countries. Chinese Muslim has a long existence in Southeast Asia. I mean, especially in the region in countries now we know as Malaysia and also Indonesia. The interaction between Islam, Chinese tradition, and local cultures in these regions are not new. Some ancient mosques and religious artifacts have Chinese features, and they can trace back to a few centuries ago. There are also various studies that point to the possible role of ethnic Chinese in the Islamization in Southeast Asia. However, such close interaction between Islam and Chineseness began to change since the colonial period. And from then to now, until now, certain government policies and racialized politics have caused rift, if not tension, between Islam and Chineseness in two Muslim majority countries. As most of you know, both countries has a sizable Chinese minority who are mostly non-Muslims. Only a few percentage of ethnic Chinese in both countries are Muslim, and most of them are convert or called mualaf in Indonesia. Those who converted to Islam in the last few decades were assumed by many ethnic Chinese and also non-Chinese Muslims to have lost their Chineseness. Islam in Malaysia has been constitutionally, politically, and culturally interwoven with Malay identities. And as reflects in the popular saying, masuk Islam itu masuk Melayu. Converting to Islam is the same as converting to or becoming a Malay. Since the 1980s, there were some attempts by Chinese Muslims to build Chinese-style mosques in Malaysia. Yet such proposal has been turned down, if not unwelcome. And Indonesia, during the New Order period, as some of you know, during the Suharto period, leaderships, Chinese Indonesians, including Chinese Muslims, were prohibited for publicly expressing their cultural identities. And those who converted to Islam mostly assimilated into various local ethnic majorities. Despite these obstacles, Chinese Muslims in both countries have increasingly expressed their cultural identities in the recent years, challenging the perceived incompatibility between Islam and Chineseness. Indeed, over the last few years or the last decade, they have called for Islamic preachings in Malaysia and Indonesia to incorporate Chinese cultural element as an attempt to disseminate Islamic messages among non-Muslim Chinese. So you have Chinese-style mosques. Some of you might have been to the few in Indonesia and also Malaysia. There are Chinese Muslim preachers. There are Chinese Nashi groups. There are Chinese halal restaurants, and Chinese New Year celebrations are some of the strategy that has been deployed to promote the universality of Islam and to show that there can be a Chinese way of being Muslim. Overall speaking, the emerging trend of expressing Chinese Muslim cultural identities is an outcome of several interrelated processes, which including the role of the China economic and diplomatic power, the growing of China economic and diplomatic power, the recognition of Chinese culture after the fall of Indonesian New Order regime, the rise of urban Muslim middle class, the diversification of Muslim consumer market, as well as the quest of some Muslim activists to preach Islam to non-Muslim Chinese. Of course, as I observed, Chinese Muslims in both countries are not homogeneous. And indeed, they are extremely diverse depending on their their conversion reasons, their socio-economic status, their religious affiliations, their political participation, and so on and so forth. For example, there are Chinese Muslims who would like to remain and highlight their Chineseness, but there are also Chinese Muslims who think they should downplay their Chineseness, or something that certain Chinese New Year or Chinese cultural practices are haram or are prohibited according to Islamic principles. Having said that, recently there's a growing trend towards the incorporation of Chinese cultural elements in the Islamic preaching, which I understand as cultural dakwah. By differentiating Chinese cultural tradition, budaya, from religious rituals, agama, and with the endorsement from mainstream Muslim organizations such as Nahdlatul Ulama, a traditional Muslim organization in Indonesia, and IKRAM, the IKRAM Association in Malaysia, a kind of moderate Islamist organization in Malaysia. Chinese Muslim leaders argue that Chinese culture does not contradict with Islamic principles. Instead, Chinese culture can facilitate the spread of Islamic messages, which they call as Dakwah Pendekatan Budaya, the preaching by using Chinese cultural elements. Of course, this kind of appreciations and appropriation of cultural tradition in Islamic preaching is not new in Malaysia and Indonesia. I talk about Chinese style mosques. Yeah, I think it's one of the most vivid and visible forms of a cultural dakwah. Since year 2000, at least 20 new Chinese style mosques has been built in both Malaysia and Indonesia. Most of these newly built mosques adopt the architecture design of all mosques in China, yet they are configured within local context. So there are various state agencies, civil societies, organizations, Chinese and also non-Chinese Muslims has contributed or engaged to the with the construction of these Chinese style mosques. We start in Malaysia. The Jupri Perak Sultan Ismail Petra Mosque, best known as the Beijing Mosque by the locals, completed in 2009, is arguably the first Chinese style mosque in post-independent Malaysia. So this architecture, the architecture design of this mosque is inspired by the New Jie Mosque, the old street mosque in Beijing, old mosque in Beijing. The chief minister of Kelantan and the spiritual leader of PAS, an Islamic party, Dr. Guru Ning Aziz, is key figure behind the establishment of this mosque. He said, conversion to Islam does not mean we have to abandon our culture. The Chinese mosque show that Islam is a religion for all ethnic groups and is not believed only by the Muslims. So Islam is a religion can be a religion for all ethnicities, ethnic groups in Malaysia. And indeed, the success of this Beijing mosque inspired the creation of other Chinese mosques in different cities in Malaysia. So now you have this one, Sahada Complex in Seremban, in Ipoh, in Malacca, and there's a recent project in Klang. So I think this reflects there's a demand for cultural diversity within Islamic framework among a segment of among segments of middle-class Muslims in Malaysia. And now we move to Indonesia. There's also similar trends in the last decade or so. I think about 15 or 16 Chinese style mosques has been built or under construction across cities in Indonesia. And the first one and the most popular one is the Surabaya Zhenghe Mosque, which initiated and built by Is Dawah Indonesian Chinese Muslim Association, PT, in 2009, I think, or 2002, if I'm not wrong. The mosque architecture has also been inspired by the New Jie Mosque or the Old Street Mosque in Beijing. Since the establishment of this mosque, it has been welcomed by many Indonesians as a symbolic marker of the acceptance of Chinese culture, especially after the New Order period, and also a clear statement of the inclusivities and tolerance of Indonesian Islam. For example, Shafiq Mukni, the then chairperson of the Is Dawah Muhammadiyah branch, welcomed the Chinese style mosque because it said it reflects the universality of Islam, and also it is a form of dakwah or preaching, a subtle form of dakwah to a non-Muslim. And for Rubaidi, the former Is Dawah Nahdlatul Ulama secretaries, this mosque is a fine example that the fact that Islam does not hesitate to adopt various local cultural practices and rituals. So As in recent, and I think as now they have already 15 Chinese style mosques in Indonesia. So beside this one in Surabaya, there's in Palembang, in Pandaan, in Is Dawah, in this is Banyuwangi in Is Dawah also, in Malang, this one is Makassar, and there are many more. So generally speaking, these Chinese style mosques are inclusive places where Chinese and non-Chinese, Muslim and non-Muslim get together, as well as a space where religious and various social activities can coexist. Okay, now we move from Chinese style mosque to Chinese New Year celebration, or in Indonesia, it's called Imlek celebration. Malaysia is Chinese New Year or Tahun Baru Cina. Since year 2010, together with MEMA, MEMA is Malaysian Chinese Muslim Association, Hidayah Center being a Dakwah Institute under IKRAM, a moderate Muslim Islamic organization in Malaysia, has been organizing Chinese New Year celebration or open house as a way to subtly promote a more inclusive image of Islam to Chinese Malaysian, especially. So I will illustrate one of these Chinese New Year celebration held in 2013. It's held in a Chinese school in Selangor, Malaysia. So as you can see, there are more than 1,000 of participants or attendants. Many of them are non-Muslim Chinese. There are halal Chinese dishes with a localized twists, including the 100 feet yisam, a popular Chinese New Year dish in Malaysia, was served. And the food was sponsored by Muhammad Chan Restaurant, a Chinese halal restaurant chain in Malaysia. Inside the hall, you can see there are performers of lion dances and Chinese traditional music at that event. You can see there's also calligraphy writings that read Allah is the greatest, and also Happy Chinese New Year written in Mandarin. There are also screening of videos, including introducing Islamic preachings and sharing of experience of Chinese converts. There's also exhibitions on Islam in Mandarin and Chinese, free Quran, and also Islamic themed books in English and Mandarin are also available for the participants. Many Muslim leaders endorse this kind of celebration as a form of Dakwah. And a few years later, some even organized Chinese New Year celebration inside the mosque in different places in Malaysia. Of course, not all Muslims endorse such form of cultural Dakwah. For example, a controversial Chinese Muslim figures who has been very vocal in campaigning Malay Muslim rights had criticizing MEMA, the Malaysian Chinese Muslim Association, for more focusing on Sinizing Islam, mencinakan Islam, than Islamizing the Chinese, mengislamkan China. So they criticize MEMA for mengislamkan China, but not mengislamkan China. Yeah, there's this debate and this different opinions. He questioned the effectiveness of cultural Dakwah. It does not really contribute to the increased number of conversion to Islam among Chinese Malaysians, according to him. And there's also another controversial kind of Salafi-inclined preachers suggest that Yisang ceremony and lion dance performance should be avoided during Chinese New Year celebrations, because according to him, such practices might contain religious elements that go against the Islamic principles, or they are haram, according to him. However, MEMA, the Malaysian Chinese Muslim Association President Taufik Yap, refuted such claim. He stressed that lion dance and Yisang are cultural expression, are just artistic affair, and it has no religious connotations. I think back in Indonesia, I think PT, the Persatuan Islam Tionghoa Indonesia, has also organized Chinese New Year celebration inside mosques, I think like 10 years ago in Yogyakarta. I think it's also draw different responses. I mean, many welcome such activity as a form of Dakwah, but there are also segments of Muslims who think that these are haram and so on and so forth. I think I come to my conclusion now. Let me conclude with a few points. First, the promoters of cultural Dakwah differentiate ethnic practices from religious rituals to preach Islam by using Chinese cultural appropriate elements. By doing so, they make Islam appear more universal and tolerant, manifesting Islam as a culturally inclusive religion. However, such a religious cultural distinction maybe have certain limitation, especially when it comes to defending certain contentious practices. For example, the notion of cultural religious distinction might be convincing enough to justify the Chinese New Year cultural celebrations. Yet it might be inadequate to defend Muslims from wishing wishing Merry Christmas or participating in Christmas celebration, which some Muslim authorities disapprove. In other words, they say it's okay to attending Chinese New Year celebration, but it's not okay to wish Merry Christmas, because the former is a cultural celebration and the later is religious celebration according to their justification. Moreover, some exclusivist preachers might have also appropriated various elements of popular cultures and local tradition to promote a kind of intolerant or ultra-conservative messages. I think for some of you might know Felix Xiao, especially those in Indonesia. Felix Xiao, a popular yet controversial preacher who has lived associated with Hizbut-Tahrir Indonesia, a kind of radical Islamist group in Indonesia. They have appropriated, as you see, Korean popular culture and even Javanese Javanese cultural tradition to propagate a kind of intolerant Islamist ideologies among certain segment of Indonesian Muslim youth. Having said that, I think to end with a positive note, cultural Dakwah, as reflected by the cases of Chinese-style mosques, which I have been described, reflects a cosmopolitan potential of Islamic practices in both Malaysia and Indonesia, showing that Muslim in both countries are appreciating cultural diversity. I think with this note, I end my presentation today. We can discuss more later. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Wang. I think it's very interesting presentation about the relationship between Chinese culture and also Dakwah activity, where we know that in Indonesia, there is often anti-Chinese sentiment, which is usually associated with economic and also political cases. Perhaps, yeah, once again, perhaps it's also happened in Malaysia, especially related to something like the new economic policy in Malaysia. Whereas Chinese in Indonesia and Malaysia are not homogeneous and also extremely diverse. Xie, Dr. Wang.
Gracias.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now let's move to our last speaker, but last speaker in this session. Last speaker in first session. We also have the second session with the other moderator. I would like to invite Dr. Abdul Razak Panemale. Achan Razak, Sawadee Khap.
Sawadee Khap. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Achan Razak, how are you today?
So far so good, Alhamdulillah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I call Dr. Abdul Razak Panemale as Achan. Achan is mean teacher or cikgu in Thai language. Ladies and gentlemen, Achan Razak, I call him Achan Razak, my old friend. He is a senior lecturer at the School of Political Science and Law, and also the director of the Islamic Study and Muslim Community Development for Peaceful Social Integration Project, or Islamic Studies Research Center at the Walailak University, Nakhon Sitamarat in southern Thailand. He holds a Bachelor of Art in Islamic Studies from the Prince of Songkla University in Petani Campus, Master of Art in Modern Malay Literature from University Malaya, and also PhD in Modern Malay Literature from University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, Malaysia. This morning, he will present about political features of Surin Pitsuan. Surin Pitsuan is Kiai or Gus in Thailand in reimaging Malay Muslim Thailand. Achan Razak, 20 minutes, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qala rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you, my sahabat, Bapak Bayu, and all panelists audience, students, siswa siswi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. First of all, I would like to say I'm very glad and happy to join this very meaningful and grand seminar, because this is another platform that I think will give more and more about the Dawah, concept of Dawah, and others that relates. So I will present my topic is exclusivism and inclusivism, both need as methodology of Dawah in Thailand. Why I choose this topic? Because in amongst our Muslim society, look like we are also quite as what we call in exclusivism society. But today I will present another view that make sure to make sure you all more understand the situation in Thailand. Yeah. My introduction is what I want to present is from Muslim points of view. So what is Dawah? I think the first speakers speak very well, explain what is Dawah, very good. Still not. Okay. Speak very good and explain in detail what is the truth of Dawah. For me, Dawah is depend on your career, your field, your potential. It's not only for Ustad or Kiai or Tuan Guru, but either you are a lecturer, you are Ustad, you are a student, you are politician, and even you are a businessman, you can do the Dawah in your way. Okay. As you know, I will give you a bit information. Thailand, as you know, a Buddhist country, it's not Muslim country, a Buddhist society. So Muslim as a minority group in Thailand. And what I will present in here today from my case study in Nakhon Si Thammarat, that my university located, and that university I working here now. I working in Walela University that located in Nakhon Si Thammarat. Nakhon Si Thammarat is quite different district, a province from others part of Thailand in context Muslim society. If you look at I'm sure you are, most of you are always heard about the southernmost of Thailand, Pattani, Yala, Narathiwat. That area are Muslim as a majority, and Muslim as majority. But in Nakhon Si Thammarat, Muslim minority live surrounded by the Buddhist society. So next slides, please. Okay. So I will focus only one figure, and very well-known politician amongst the Thai people, and even in our regions, because he is the former of the General Secretary General of Asian, that office in Jakarta. Dr. Surin, or in Muslim name, Abdul Halim bin Ismail. I want to focus his efforts to restore the image of Muslim among the Thais through his career as a politician. I want to present this topic today. Okay, next. This is image of and position of Malay Muslim in Nakhon Si Thammarat. You can see, I think not very familiar with the Malay Muslim in Malaysia, or even in Sumatra, or even other part of Indonesia, Republic of Indonesia. Ini anak-anak pesantren, anak-anak sekolah, anak-anak usia dini, kata orang, anak-anak usia dini. Okay, next. Yeah, you can see there. This is the study, or the tadika, Taman Didikan Kanak-kanak on they must study religious education on weekday on Saturday and Friday. From the Monday to the Friday, they study as a in government school, but only 1-2 days in weekdays, Saturday and Sunday, they must study religious, or we call sekolah tadika, taman didikan kanak-kanak. Okay, next. You can see how we survive as a Muslim in Buddhism country. We have to survive. We have to study hard. No holiday, no relax. Always study from all long weekends, all long week we study, and not stop because we to make sure our children, our kids get a knowledge of Islamic religions at the same time, not only in the academic. Okay, next. This school is run by our community, not by governments. Because in each community in Thailand, in Muslim society, there is a kind of school like this, or tadika, or masjid, as a community in masjid as the member, and at the what we call at the ministerial board, and make sure that our school. Okay, next slide. Okay. The image of, okay, thank you. Okay, the image of Islam in Muslim eye of the world, as many speakers said, that we are as Muslims stereotyped as aggressive, destructive, lawless, terroristic, uncivilized, fanatic, fundamentalist, backward, and anachronistic. Islam being present as the great enemy of the world. The Muslim world is the segment of the world, and the whole world is led to think that at the root of all this evil stand the religion of Islam. Like Islam itu punca segala musibah yang berlaku di dunia ini. Itu gambaran umum, ya. So in time, among Thai people get information, misunderstanding about Islam, because most of the Thai media get information about Islam from the Westerns, not from our own Islamic culture or our region, or Islam from the Arab world, but from the Western media. So they just know Islam is a terrorist. Muslim is terrorist. Muslim is extremist, so something like that. So amongst on this situation, we must survive. We must adapt our own lifestyle to make sure our Islamic and society survival among Thai Buddhism people. Okay, next. But the problem is because of, I don't know where is the mistake among happened in our society, because of our society, they are like not really open. I mean, in general, Muslim in Thailand not really open to tolerate with others religions. Like Al-Arabi Abu Hamza said, what Islam preach is one thing, and what so many Muslims nowadays practice is something else. So I quote this sayings, wording from the Al-Arabi Abu Hamza, contemporary scholar. I think that this, I agree with this, because as I see, our Muslim society quite close, not open society, because of our we be aware and scared, not to tolerate our Muslim region to the other part of the religion, to mix each other. So we have to protect something like this. So this is what I see in my society in Thailand. Yeah. Okay. Next. In Thai National Constitution of Thailand state that all religions are equal, all people, Thai citizens are equal. So we can run, we can do we can practice our religion, our education, we can do prayer, we can pay our zakat and something, because we have rights as a Thai citizen. And Thailand is a Thai liberal democracy, liberal democracy. So all people in Thai country are equal. So including our society. So from this we can practice our religion, our culture, and our tradition. But the problem is when as a minority group we beware our religions, what we call to lost in identity of our teaching or preaching of Islam. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, a short brief of Dr. Surin. Next. Okay, next. Okay, this is the picture of the young Dr. Surin when he was the school boy. A short brief, Dr. Surin, this one. I think this special one because he is as Muslim representative, wakil, Bapak Wakil Rakyat, and he is only one Muslim in representative of parliament in Nakhon Sismarat. Nakhon Sismarat is a majority Buddhist as majority, but Muslim only a bit, only I think 8%. 8%. So this is the very special case you have to know. That's why Dr. Surin can survive his seat as a member of parliament long term. And Buddhists, monks, most of Buddhists choose him as a representative. This is the very important issue that we have to think: how they survive, what is the kind of methodology that he used to make sure he win as a member of parliament. This is very special. Okay, next. I think really so hard to make to win a seat as a member of parliament amongst the Thai Buddhist people. I think so hard, but Dr. Surin can do it, and she can still remain as a member of parliament for long terms. Okay, his ancestor and parent. Okay, next. Bapaknya kiai, bapaknya, neneknya orang kiai. Okay, next. He said, culturally, I am the Malay Muslim, and politically, I am the part of Thai nation state. And in some speech, he said he is like a Malay Malay seed in the white elephant earth. He said like this in one speech. I forget when, but I still remember this wording. Okay, next. Okay, this is the biodata of the Surin. He is a former of the 12 Asian Secretary General from 2008 until 2012. Okay, you can read this. Okay, next. Political career of Dr. Surin. Okay, the day when Dr. Surin passed away on 30 November 4 years ago. That the day of Dr. Dr. Surin the page paper in Thai, because he is not only an ordinary people, but he is a very special one for Thai. So became a breaking news when the Dr. Surin passed away on that day, 30 on November 2018, 4 years ago. Okay. And after that, he get an honor from the kings, some kind of honorable from the kings to give Dr. Surin, because he is so very meaningful person to Thai, not only in Muslim society, but also for the Thai citizens and for Thai people and Thai country. So he do a lot of work and job that make sorry, to make the develop Thailand. Okay, please next. Okay, this is the same news that present the day the honorable from the king give to Dr. Surin, because that's mean Dr. Surin is not only a common people, but it's a special one for the Thai. Okay, next. And okay, next. Okay, next. This is the poem by the national laureate of Thailand, Nawarapul Paibun. He said, wajah Surin, Piswan nan sering dilihat, wajah senyum jernih pemikat adalah ibarat air jernih, air tenang tebing pun terhakis. Sungguhnya ada dunia, tetapi menjangkaui duniawi. Ini sebagai satu penghormatan kepada Dr. Surin Suma apabila kematiannya menjadi become a breaking news and hot issue among Thai people, because they feel that they lost someone who are very benefit to Thailand, to Thai country and nation. Okay, next. Okay, the point is Dr. Surin always said about the importance of education. He always said education is the most rewarding investment. Change from within through education. Education is the only way to forward quality. I want to explain that here. What he want to say is, if you want as a Muslim, you want to have a right. You have a right as a Thai and humankind. You have to make sure that you get good education. So at the same time, Dr. Surin, when he has a free times, he came back to his kampong village to run his school and to make sure that among Muslim children, among Muslim young Muslim to study, to learn about Islam, and at the same time learn about academics. Okay, next. Dr. Surin used education as a tool to develop Muslim society. Okay, next. And Dr. Surin, what I see is he want to pretend. He tried to pretend in a good image, a good pretense as a Muslim to others, to Thai Buddhism. So that's why.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you only have 5 minutes left.
All right, I will be finished right now. Okay, next. Dr. Surin always said about this ayat and surah. This they have, I perfect you religion for you and complete my favor upon you, have chosen for you Islam as your religion. Nah, al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaikum ni'mati wa raditu lakum Islam Madina. And this from this, I think Dr. Surin from the Quran, from the base. I mean, his da'wah, he's doing da'wah from a base of the ayat al-Quran, from the Quran, because his background as a Muslim religious, as he is anak pondok, anak pesantren. He is also anak pesantren, because he studied from the beginning until the sekolah dasar itu in pondok, in pesantren. But after that he apply for the academic school and then go to the university and then go to the Harvard University. Only one Muslim in the Samara, and I think at that time can go to the Harvard University. From the pesantren to the Harvard University is very amazing and very wonderful people. I think it's not common people. Okay, next. Okay, next, because we have we're really a short time now. Okay, all mankind, we create you from a single pair of male or female, and made you into nation and race, that you may know one another. So Dr. Surin always speaks in his presentation in many platforms, in seminar, in conference about this, to make sure that Muslim really understand the core of the Quran, the teaching of Quran. Okay, next. To make sure we can tolerate, we can okay, next, we can tolerate, we can respect, we have to respect others. We are ummah. He always say we are ummah. So we do not to spread. You are Buddhist, I am Muslim, but we have to get together, work together, hand in hand, to make sure our nation and our state are developed. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, next. Ini Afenal Sumon, like a Nabi Muhammad said, all mankind is from Adam and Eve, and Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab. Nor does a non-Arab have any superiority over Arab. Okay, next. Okay, respect, like I just said, like this. Okay, next. Respectful tolerance. Okay, next. Okay, when he is Secretary General of ASEAN, he created a new motto for ASEAN: one new vision, one identity, and one community. So we have do not to fight each other, but we have love each other, respect each other, and that what Dr. Surin done, I think the best way for politician and for Muslim figure in reimagining the image of a Muslim society among the other people. This is what Dr. Surin done already, and he is well done. He done well done and good job for our Muslim society, and that I think he is a very successful person in Dawah, in context the political Dawah. Okay, thank you very much. I think for that all for my presentation today. If someone mistake is from me, and there is a good for Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So sorry for my presentation. Is you can you feel that it's not good presentation. I'm so sorry for that and apologize all. Okay, thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Achan Razak. Ladies and gentlemen, even though I live in Thailand for 2 years, especially in Chonburi province, but Achan Razak was the one who introduced me that conflict is not a single phase of Muslim and non-Muslim relation in Thailand. He was the one who invited me to see how Islam can live peacefully in Nakhon Sitamara, a province which very close from Patani, Yala, and also Narathiwat. ขอบคุณมากครับอาจารย์ Razak. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all speakers have presented their amazing speech, and now let us enter to the Q&A section. And I have checked to the chat room. Actually, we have one question from Umar from Unzah Probolinggo. But because I think the question is similar with other question that text me, I would like to combine into one question because actually our time is very limited. So I will combine all of question into one question that will answered by our all distinguished presenter. The question is, this is for the question for all presenter. Perhaps this is a question that many of our students and also Indonesian moderate Muslim have in mind. How to deal with people who think that culture and Dakwah are two things that cannot be combined, or that they are two opposite things. Once again, how to deal with people who think that culture and Dakwah are two things that cannot be combined, or that they are two opposite things. Perhaps I would like to start from Achan Razak. Achan Razak, I give you the first chance to deliver your answer to the question.
Can you repeat again, please, Mr. Bayu?
Okay. How to deal with the people who think that culture and Dakwah are two things that cannot be combined, or that they are two opposite things. How to deal, Achan Razak?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Maybe my question is not good, but I will try my best. I have a conclusion for this some kind question, because so many questions before always ask me like this. So for me, I would say like this, because bil hikmati wal amal izati, when we want to dawah, the important things we have to understand that Islam is a worldwide preaching, worldwide teaching, worldwide religions, and at the same time, in our preaching, in our teaching, in our Quran, there is a kind of what we call wisdom, al-hikmah, that is very important. So al-hikmah, we can apply to make sure that our message arrive to the people, to the audience. So in another part, so in another paper, in another's my research, I conclusion that wisdom is important tool in entering a global world, or tool into a face with the other society. So wisdom, so very important. So wisdom we can apply, we can adaptation, we can adapt and adopt to make sure that our dawah going on. Our dawah is going on. That's important. So don't worry about the culture. We can adapt. I am sure we can adapt and adopt our culture to give they understand the meanings and the message of our dawah. So don't worry about the combine with the between culture and our culture. We can protect, we can survive at the same time, and the same time we can adapt. But not sure what we do, we are happy, and Islam is remains protected by our methodology. That's all I think. Thank you very much.
Okay, Khop Mahab Ajahn Razak, and then I would like to give the second chance for the Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang, time is yours to deliver your answer.
Thank you. So how to answer this? Terima kasih. Thanks for the questions. I think it's to answer this question between, some people think that culture and Dakwah are not compatible, something like that. But I think you need to give, how to put it, to answer in a better way. I think you need more details. Who said this, in what context they say this, and why they think it's incompatible. Because otherwise it's too general. I don't know in what context. Maybe I can briefly. I think we have to think. I think most people, they don't, as far as I know, they think it's not an issue of whether these two can be compatible or not. It's to what extent culture can be adopted, and what culture can and what culture cannot. A certain culture element is okay. Certain culture element might not be accepted according to their different understanding of Islamic interpretation. And also, what are the contents of the preaching? What are the content of the Dakwah, or the audience, and or the objective, and what are the religious elements of this Dakwah movement? So so then we can know more, can discuss more. Otherwise, I think it's too general. For example, I talk about, let's say, Hizbut-Tahrir Indonesia, like Felix Xiao. He used to say Chinese New Year celebration is haram. You cannot celebrate Chinese New Year in some way. But on the other hand, this group, some of them, they're also adopting Korean popular cultures and even do wayang kulit shows. Of course, they appropriate wayang kulit, they delete the so-called Islamic elements, replace with more Islamic elements in their Dakwah movement. So on one hand, you say that they are like against Chinese New Year celebration, but on the other hand, they are also quite open to adopt certain different culture elements in their preaching. So I think, so I think there are different players, different actors. So to answer that question, I think it need more specific details. So I think it's more better way to deal with it. Otherwise, it's too general. I don't know who said this and in what context, and what the reason they think is incompatible. Yeah, I will answer your question. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Okay, Dr. Wang. Okay, and the last answer will be delivered from Professor Beta Kartika. Professor Beta Kartika, time is yours.
Thank you, but Dr. Wang and teacher Abdul Razak, they already answered. So Pak Bayu, it's no need to prolong. My idea is that we shouldn't separate them, because one of the element of ta'aruf is that we know the culture, which is better to be the means to deliver the da'wah. Yeah. So even when we see the examples of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one of the hadith, there is, we have hadith qawli, we have hadith fi'li, we have hadith taqriri. Okay, in that particular hadith taqriri, it is very clear when some tribes, they eat adopt, biawak. Okay, Rasulullah SAW said that in our culture we don't, but you do, so go ahead. So we shouldn't separate da'wah and culture. They are not opposite. We have to, what we can say, integrated. We merge. Yeah. Thank you so much. So that's why it is really, really important to know people's culture. Yes, the culture can be as well their language, their customs, their traditional, their food, lots of things that we have to understand before we deliver our da'wah or our call. Yes. Indeed, we have to know it very well. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Dr. Wang has said very well. Dr. Salam Kenal, so we are here. So we should meet one day and we should drive when the borders open to Ustadz Abdul Razak. Inshallah. Thank you, Pak Bayu.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah, selamat datang. Welcome to you all to Thailand. If you want to know more than Hajjah, you can join us. They will escape.
Yes, Abdul Razak.
I'm so sorry because I lost my connection. I'm so sorry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think all questions were answered very well by the speakers. It also marked the end of my responsibilities in this session. Once again, this is the first session. We still have the second session with Bu Andayani as a moderator. Therefore, let me give a closing note. Ladies and gentlemen, not everyone reads the Quran. Not everyone understands the Sunnah. Don't force them to have the same thought as you. Therefore, be a good and friendly reflection of Islam as your da'wah. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to be trusted as the chairperson or a moderator in this conversation. I apologize if there were many mistakes while I was on duty. I want to say thank you very much for the speakers, audience, and organizing committee. Hopefully, we get a lot of knowledge and experience from this session. Thank you very much. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to the master ceremony.
Waalaikumsalam.
There's no picture together, Pak Bayu.
Thank you.
Of course, Mas Nafi. Picture.
Yeah,
Take a
please the
picture.
committee.
The committee will handle this photo session, and let me guide for the first screen. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, second screen. Third screen. Fourth. Okay, thank you very much to all the audience.
Well, thank you to our
Thank you very much.
distinguished invited speakers and my friends as a moderator, Bayu Mitra Kusuma, for getting the first session of the Dakwah Management Conference today. And then, ladies and gentlemen, these are the speakers of the second conference. I have to say sorry to invited speaker if I have a wrong spelling. The first speaker is Furqan Hidayat DBA from Tehran University. And the second one is Nur Sahril bin Saad PhD from ICS Yusuf Isa Institute Singapore. And the last one is Dr. Haji Andi Darmawan MAG as a lecturer of Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University. The second conference will be guided by the moderator Andayani SIP MSW, lecturer of Social Work Department, Dakwah and Communication Faculty, Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University. Ju Andayani, the time is yours.
Is my sound clear? Very clear. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Dean and the Vice Deans of the Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, the Head and the Secretary of Dakwah Management Department, the speakers, and all of the participants. We are so grateful and thankful to Allah, the Benevolent and the Merciful today, and me particularly, having all of you here all of the speakers and all of the participants in this international conference held by Dakwah Management Study Program, Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, Indonesia, under the theme of Managing Multicultural Dakwah in Southeast Asia. And this is the second session. We are already have 3 well-known speakers who already attending, I guess. But let me greet the speakers. The first speaker is Purkon Hidayat DBA. Are you with us, Dr. Purkon? Good morning.
Good morning, Bu Andayani.
How are you today?
Okay, I'm fine.
Thank you very much. And the second
Yes,
session
okay.
is Dr. Andi Darmawan. Hello, Dr. Andi Darmawan. Are you okay?
Halo Bu Andayani.
Yeah, Dr. Andi Darmawan is very well known lecturer in this university and also my best friend. Thank you, Pak Andi Darmawan.
Welcome.
Yeah, and the third speaker is Dr. Nur Sahril Saad. Are you with us already, Dr. Sahril Saad?
Yes,
Hello.
I'm with you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Nur Sahril Saad. Are you all right today?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm currently having 2 meetings, so I'm happy to join you this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second session. The first speaker will be Purkon Hidayat DBA. I would like to introduce him. Purkon Hidayat, born on April 22, 1977. His education background was civil engineering, management, Persian language, Islamic philosophy, ethics, and also currently he graduated his doctoral program from business administration, Faculty of Management, University of Tehran, Iran, and currently he is pursuing his postdoctoral program on strategic foresight, Tehran Business School, TBA, Iran. And his and his paper is on the future of managing multicultural dakwah in the FUCA era. And our second speaker, as I mentioned, is Dr. Andi Darmawan. Dr. Andi Darmawan is the lecturer and also the researcher of Management of Dakwah, Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. And his paper is on managing multicultural dakwah efforts to build religious moderation in Indonesia. And also the third speaker will be given the paper on managing diversity in Southeast Asia, the significance of social sciences and humanities. Dr. Sahril Saad is senior fellow from ICS Yusuf Ishak Institute. So I would like to give around 20 until 30 minutes for each speaker. And the first chance will be given to Purkon Hidayat DBA. The time is yours to deliver the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Purkon Hidayat DBA.
Thank you very much, Bu Andayani. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in wala umuri dunya waddin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Sampurasun. Thank you very much. Before we get started, I would like to express my appreciation to Bapak Rektor, Bapak Dekan, dan para dosen, and my best regard to speaker Nur Sahril bin Saad, PhD, and Dr. Andi Darmawan. First of everything, we talk about the futures of multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia. Let notice to simple introduction to this term related to my discipline in management, philosophy, and future studies. The first, when we discuss about the managing multicultural dakwah, we are talking about the present and future condition. What are the present and future condition from perspective of future studies? Second, how is future studies as discipline to organize multicultural dakwah in the Southeast Asia region? And third, what is the models? Okay, please share my slide. And okay, okay. Okay. Here we are now going to explain about the definition of managing da'wah because the time limitation and other speaker already fairly. The first question, how is the future of da'wah? And next, the question cannot be answered by cleric or religious scholar because the future requires the implementation of various disciplines. A similar statement can also be made for the medical science. I'm sorry. A doctor will not be able to answer a statement of what the medical future will be because the medical science today depend on the development of other disciplines such as artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, biomedicine, robotics, and so on. Different, okay, why the different situation and condition demand different process. A wide range of the theory in the management, specifically strategic management, aren't capable of copying our new era. In this case, the future is an exception. Some theory of management that has been implemented a static approach since the present situation and condition are dynamic. For example, is SWOT analysis to be replaced by future studies approach such as an environmental scanning. And next, today we are entering the era of FUCA, which is an acronym: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I will explain a little about the characteristic of FUCA before we discuss the impact on multicultural da'wah in the future. The FUCA term was first used in Warren Dennis and Bernanus to describe or to reflect on the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of the general condition and situation. And the American Army were courage introduced this concept. Volatility, a volatile situation can be defined as one that is unstable or unpredictable. It does not necessarily involve complex structures. A critical lack of knowledge or doubt about what outcomes may result from key events. For example, commodity pricing in often quite volatile, like the oil costs have been quite volatile in the 29th century. And next, this uncertainty. Uncertainty is term used to describe a situation characterized by a lack of the knowledge, not as to cause and effect, but rather pertaining the whether certain event is significant enough to constitute a meaningful cause. Uncertainty is not volatile. A volatile situation is one in which change is likely, but that change may come quickly and at varying magnitudes. And uncertain situation, on the other hand, is the not so volatile. In fact, there may be no change inherent in it all. For example, I don't know if next year the pandemic is down or not. We still cannot decide whether to return to Indonesia or not. And I'm still in the Tehran. So we need collecting data on the pandemic trend in Indonesia and Iran and globally to be able to predict them. And next, complexity. Complex situation is characterized by many interconnected parts. Again, this is distinct from a volatile or uncertain situation. The situation faced in regard to the regulatory improvement and political climate in the many nations where his company does business is indeed complex, but not necessarily volatile or uncertain. Okay, next, the ambiguity. Ambiguity characterizes situation where there is a doubt about the nature of the cause and effect relationship. This is distinct from the other component of PUCA. It is not volatile. This is not a reason to expect quick, unpredictable, unstable change. Is it not complex? There aren't an overwhelming number of moving parts here, just a lack of understanding as to what will happen next. And that lack of understanding is distinct from uncertainty. In a merely uncertain situation, you have a good idea of the what causes evidence and ambiguous situation. On the other hand, typically revolves around wholly new products, market, innovation, or opportunity in an uncertain situation. You can predict what may happen if you gather adequate information. An ambiguous situation is more challenging because of the newness. There is little historical precedent for determining the outcomes of certain cause or cause of action. The next slide is a different distinction within the FUCA frameworks. And the next question, what is the impact of the FUCA era on multicultural Dakwah? For responding this answer, we need new approach to managing multicultural Dakwah in FUCA era. We will use one of the methods in the future studies developing by Pakistani Australian futurologist Suhail Inayatullah, called it causal layered analysis. Causal analysis layered is the method is the 4 level in one the Latini systemic view and need or metaphor. Okay, the causal layered analysis. There are 4 level in the analysis, and level 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is David. Then the metaphor and myths is this David. Then other stage. The first at the Latini level, we find that multicultural Dakwah face challenges for technological development and their impact on society, such as the dynamic of the digitalization and digital-based Dakwah programs. This second, at the systematic level, we see the response of the government, society, and education institutions to the development of the advance in the digital technology by making various regulation and policies that are in the same direction, but such as training for priests or cleric and digital literacy. And third, a few on the good and bad of the digital world in the scholar, including investigating resources in the discipline of sociology, anthropology, so on, and philosophy. The challenge at this level is that there are different paradigms that are influenced by the perspective of various disciplines. The problem is we are dealing with a problem that Mr. Foucault called the power side of knowledge. There are biases in the knowledge that sometimes collide between discipline of science. This problem which cannot be separated from the problem of particulation of the discipline as an effect of the era of positivism, which tighten human knowledge according to their respective field. It has contribute effectively to the sharpness, but he creates new problem of fullness and comprehensiveness that have failed to be explored. At this level, philosophy as a discipline have to make a significant contribution to the approach in the future studies. Finally, digging into the metaphor and myths embedded in the collective memory of the nation in the context of digital world. For instance, regarding how to view the presence of heroes like Superman, we have the mythos of like Gajah Mada and others, is in the problem solving this tendency. Okay, and the next question, what can we learn from the facts? The first, future studies develop an approach based on the four zones, including the evidence, creativity, expertise, and interaction. These four stages must be explored in the developing a model for future Dawah. I described from the Forsyth Diamond in the one of the models in the future studies. This the adapted from the paper. Okay, this we can see the second. Explored existing model and develop them in new form that are adapted to the different in the present and the future. Third, reviewing the text heuristically and contextually on the Dakwah and metaphor model presented in classical literature with new interpretation. Okay, my focus in the in the speaker in the speech, the future studies combine the knowledge, science, philosophy, and other discipline and art. This is we can see the Forsyth Diamond is this creativity, interaction, evidence, and expertise is need the imagination. Why? We can learn from the scientists, the famous scientists, Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is a limit, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evaluation. It is strictly speaking a real factor in the scientific research. Why are innovation and creativity important to the future of Dakwah? In the dynamic world of future, we need breakthrough with creative and innovative thinking to solve present and future problems. Creative and innovative thinking require both imagination and knowledge. In the Islamic studies, we have a great source, but so far it has not been widely used. Namely, Sufism and philosophy and on other hand, this is a fiqh, tafsir, and etc. Islamic civilization include the literary works to architecture, is heavily influenced by Sufism. Excavation using CLE, causal layered analysis, we carried out to find and rediscover the concept of the myth in classical literature. And in addition to strengthening knowledge in the field of the classical Islamic studies, such as the tafsir, hadith, fiqh, etc., communication skill and managing da'wah, we also need to be equipped with a skill and abilities for innovation and creativity. Synergies between faculties, including cooperating with major in the management, science and technology, as well as art. I think art is important, and Win Sunan Kalijaga is, I think, need the art faculty. And the finish from Kunto Wijoyo in the from the book is Paradigma Islam Paradigm, Islam Paradigm, yes, as the book. Islam must be able to carry out the process of coding, the creating code, and the coding in its symbolic improvement. What happened outside of itself in nature, society, culture, and history must be returned to its normative reference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Purkon Hidayat. It is interesting. Dr. Purkan already taught us the new framework of managing multicultural dakwah, which is through HUCA model, in particular causal layered analysis, due to the extreme changing of the dynamic of the world, which is so uncertain and so complex. It is very interesting. Thank you very much. We are also very grateful. Purkon Hidayat, DBA. He's from Iran, Tehran University. Even though our topic is about multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia, but our speakers is not only from Southeast Asia context, but also from far away from Iran. Thank you very much, Purkon Hidayat. And our second, yeah, and our second speaker is Dr. Andi Darmawan. He is a very well-known lecturer and also activist, as well as a researcher of management of dakwah, Faculty of Dakwah and Communication, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. And again, I will read the title of his paper is Managing Multicultural Dakwah, Efforts to Build Religious Moderation in Indonesia. The time is yours, Mr. Andi Darmawan. Thank you.
Welcome. Shukran, Mbak Andayani. Thank you very much. Thanks, moderator, for the time giving to me. Alhamdulillah wa syukurillah, la hawla wa la quwata illa billah, amma ba'du. Respectable Rector of State Islamic University, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, Prof. Al-Makin, Honorable Dean Dakwah and Communication Faculty, Prof. Marhumah, and Honorable all speakers and all participants who attend in this virtual room on international conference. Managing multicultural dakwah in Southeast Asia. And in this occasion, I would like to share my paper with the title Managing Multicultural Dakwah, Efforts to Build Religious Moderation in Indonesia. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. For the first amazing speakers today have given a obvious view. Here I try to give from the other side, maybe. Okay. Managing multicultural dakwah. Indonesia has diverse cultures and religion, which diversity is protected by a constitution to ensure Indonesian people will maintain the diversity. Pancasila has strong narration. It is unity in diversity, which amplifies its significant role in uniting people. Okay, the 1945 Constitution, Article 29, Paragraph 2, guarantees the freedom of every citizen to embrace religion, belief, and to worship according to religion and belief. It exhibits the plurality of Indonesia. Okay, emergence of religion is good news. However, its religion delivered the good news problems in the field. Certainly, there are several causes. For example, the delivery method which tend offensive diction, biased point of view, or others. Conceptually, yeah, or rhetorically, we get quite a lot of information about it, but what is needed now is a role model or good example from policymakers, religious leaders, and most importantly, literacy that religion is not just a ritual or social, but integrates the two in the realm of practice. One of them is religious moderation literacy. Okay. Religious moderation, a perspective in understanding and practicing religious teachings in a moderate manner, in the sense of not being extreme. What is moderate is the ways to practice religion, not the religion itself. Okay, I mean, is in sense, it is not a simple matter to understand religious teachings. It takes a view, a human side, and last but not least, it needs a word view that the core of religion is not only going to heaven, that I mean, but also spreading peace on earth. Okay, the moderation is the way to practice religion, not the religion. Let's discuss examples of cases in Indonesia. Some cases in Indonesia, several cases occurred in Indonesia, such as case in Ambon, as you see, 1999, case in Poso, Central Sulawesi, 1998 until 2001. These cases occurred mostly due to a lack of understanding, okay, of particular religious teaching, so that their point of view is claimed to be the most correct. Therefore, universal religious teachings, namely about the what humanity is, need to be put forward in understanding the teachings of religion. Why multicultural dakwah must be well managed? Multicultural da'wah is an effort to create harmony in a diverse society. That's why we need why 2 minutes. To be precise, multicultural da'wah is an activity that calls for an adherence to the teachings and values of Islam, is an egalitarian, inclusive, and tolerant way. Also, it upholds morality, science, humanity, solidarity as the implementation of monotheism. I mean, Tawhidic paradigm. Okay, this is, as you see, 3 general characteristics of multicultural. First, tawassut means not extreme. Second, tasammuh, tolerant. And third, egalitarian is no discrimination. Tawassut, the point is to be able to break between the two, and in Islam, it is commonly called the best situation in the middle one. This is tawassut, I mean not extreme. And second, tasammuh, it means is an attitude that can understand and appreciate the difference between individuals and groups. And it can also be called as the main key to peace. And third, egalitarians or no discriminations, it means is an equality or equal attitude in seeing human rights and obligations. Okay. Tawassut, tasammuh, and egalitarian. As you see, this picture shows that tawassut, tasammuh, and egalitarian are not longer spirit, but are interconnected or integrated with one another. Okay. As you see, as the question is, then what is the position of multicultural da'wah? Okay, tawassut, tasammuh, and egalitarian. This is a picture that shows the position of the integrated multicultural da'wah between tawassut, tasammuh, and egalitarian. This picture also shows that the integration of tawassut, tasammuh, and egalitarian shows that one way to achieve peace based on religions, on religious teaching, is the integration of these 3 things that I mean. How to manage multicultural da'wah? As we know, planning, organizing, directing, and evaluating. Okay, I mean this picture that planning multicultural da'wah, steps regarding da'wah actions that will be carried out based on facts in a participatory manner. The meaning of steps here is how to see and understand problem in the fields carefully in terms of da'wah. Then the planning is carried out based on existing perspectives and realities. Okay, this planning. Next, organizing multicultural da'wah. Steps to establish various kinds of good da'wah activities and organize them according to what has been planned in the multicultural society. It means how the steps that have been determined are then organized as well as possible, so that our religious activities are well controlled. It should be done in order to maintain harmony together. This means organizing multicultural da'wah. Directing multicultural da'wah. Okay, Guiding the Dakwah community, we called Mad'u in Arabia, on how to coexist in a heterogeneous society and inspiring the community that diversity is inevitable. It means that the Dakwah community, we called Mad'u, is directed to be able to understand that coexistent life in a heterogeneous society requires wisdom and convince the community that diversity is inevitable. Okay, I guess this in the last my explains, yeah, evaluating multicultural dakwah. If we are to objectively assess what has been achieved so far in dakwah within a multicultural society. Okay, and in the last, I want to say to all peoples in this virtual room, when the ways to manage multicultural dakwah is done well, religious moderation can be achieved well too. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. Time, I give it back to the moderator. Thank you very much, Mrs. Andayani. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Darmawan. It was so amazing. We already learned how to practice and to deliver the faith of Islam, either as a Muslim in general or as the dakwah practitioner, to represent Islam as a moderate, as a tolerant, and also in egalitarian in nature, due to the fact that multicultural society is inevitable facts in our society. Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Darmawan. The approaches that you have already taught us, such as tasamut, and also egalitarian, is very helpful for us to do dakwah management. And the third and the last speaker, but surely not the least, will be given to the Dr. Sahril Saad. His paper is on managing diversity in Southeast Asia, the significance of social sciences and humanities. Dr. Sahril Saad is senior fellow from ICS Yusof Ishak Institute, Singapore. Dr. Sahril Saad, the time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are very clear.
Can you see my slides as well?
Yeah. Dr. Andi Darmawan, can you stop your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much, Ibu Wandayani. Thank you very much to UIN Sunan Kalijaga for inviting me to speak today. I'm very sorry that I was in and out of the session because I had a few meetings to attend, but I'm very happy to make it on time and also to share some of my thoughts. So the title of my presentation is Managing Diversity in Southeast Asia, the Significance of Social Sciences and Humanities. Just to clarify that I understand that maybe this is a topic that deals more with theology and Islamic studies, but my approach here is slightly different. I'm not from Islamic studies, but I think what I'm sharing today is also important because we live in a very diverse society. We live in a very diverse region in Southeast Asia, and also in a globalized world, we cannot escape talking about differences. So I'm just going to go some of the slides very quickly. I have quite a number of slides, but in the interest of time, I will go through very quickly. Some of the issues have already been discussed by the previous panelists. So if I may. So my talk today is going to talk about managing diversity in Southeast Asia through the social sciences lens. I think the topic has been touched by a previous speaker, looking at different approaches, different methods, rather than looking at theology or Islamic studies per se. I want to argue that social science and humanities are also important disciplines of knowledge. There was an earlier suggestion that UIN Sunan Kalijaga should also teach arts and humanities. I fully support, I fully agree, because I think we cannot understand society without looking at subjects and disciplines beyond the traditional Islamic sciences. I will give a very brief overview of some of the disciplines, some of the social science approaches and methods in the second half of my presentation. But when we talk about diversity, these are some of the issues that plague our society today. When we talk about Islamic studies, we tend to talk about terrorism, we tend to talk about political Islam, conservatism, or Arabization in Southeast Asia. But I think we cannot escape in academic world that we, in society today, we are living in a society of post-911, the image of the West, the image of non-Muslims towards Muslims. And the second issue is about conservatism that's on the rise, that's become a concern for policymakers, a concern for academics. But on the other hand, the Muslims too are also in a way shaped by such phenomena. We are also having this issue of homogenizing the West, homogenizing non-Muslims, which is also equally problematic, which is what I call anti-Western sentiments and Occidentalism. So there are two sides of the coin here. One is image of others towards us, the other is our image towards the West, which needs to be corrected, which needs to be addressed. And here I feel social sciences and humanities play a very important role in order to understand complexities. So how do we manage diversity in Southeast Asia? I will go through very quickly. I'm looking at three countries, the three countries that I'm interested in and I research on, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. The three countries are very closely tied, sharing similar history, sizable Muslim community, and they are very diverse society. I will skip this slide because you are all the very experts of Indonesia. Malaysia, as you know, in the region is slightly different from Indonesia because Islam is the religion of the federation, but it is also multicultural, it is also diverse, but I want to highlight why is it different from Indonesia is because they still have the ruling families, the kings and the sultans, who are basically in charge of Islam and Malay culture. Singapore is again different from Indonesia and Malaysia because it's a minority Muslim country, but there are institutions that look at Islamic affairs. And generally, Islam is also a very important identity marker for the Malays in Singapore. We can talk more about this during the questions and answers. This is basically an overview of Islam in Southeast Asia. Majority are Sunnis, there are Shia communities, there are minorities. Most of them uphold the Shafi'i school of thought. Majority are Malays. And as I mentioned earlier, in some segments in Malay society, particularly in Malaysia, the traditional ruling elites are very, very important. All right, this is an overview. We want to understand diversity of Muslims. We must also ask ourselves, how did Islam in the past came to this Malay world? And how did Islam or the people who brought Islam to this world understand the diversity of this region? When we talk about diversity, we tend to, and for that matter, Dakwah, right? We tend to focus on inter-religious diversity. We tend to forget about the other more important component, the intra-faith diversity. Because Muslims have never been homogeneous. Muslims have always have different ideologies. Sunni Shia is one, but there are also other orientations. We have the traditionalists, we have the modernists, we have conservative, we have the progressive, liberal, whatever. And there are also differences of economic class. Could be the underclass, can be the middle class, can be the elite, right? And could be the ruling class, or could be the commoners. So diversity is here to stay and will always shape not only Muslim communities, but also all communities in the world, right? So when Islam came to this part of Southeast Asia, I refer to a very important work, Cesar Adib Mahul, who talks about theories of expansion. We must understand who brought Islam to this region, what is the important historical episode, who converted to Islam, and how they manage diversity. I'll go through very quickly. So there was this contact, and as I mentioned, Islam is not homogeneous, and there are many contestations, there are many interactions from within, and there are evidences to show that, for example, this famous shrine in Singapore of Makam Habib Noor, which shows very important the role of the Hadramis and the Sayyids that came and brought Islam to this world, to this part of the region, which shows later that why Sufism is an important component of Muslims in this region. But when Islam came to this region, it respects culture. It respects the local practices. There is a lot of interactions from within. So when we want to do da'wah or want to spread Islam or want to share the significance of Islam, we must understand that Islam generally is open to accepting local customs and local norms. I refer to a very important work. I'm not sure you can see this. This is a book by Syed Hussein Alatas, Kita dengan Islam, We and Islam, where he talks about the relationship between Islam and Malay culture, which is to respect local cultural norms. And that is why some aspects and evidence of Malay culture is integrated as part of Islam. Some words of Sanskrit, right, have been integrated into the Islamic vocabulary here. For instance, in the Malay world, people don't use salat to describe prayers. People use sembahyang, right, to talk about their ritual. People use the word neraka and shurga rather than jannah or nar, which just shows that actually Islam is accommodative towards differences. And of course, this is also seen in respect to arts, culture, as well as other things. And there are, of course, contestations. And these are some works mainly to show that there is a diversity in how people react to differences. We have Syed Sheikh Al-Hadi, we have the formation of Muhammadiyah. We have also have interactions across nations, such as Hamka criticizing the Johor Royal Islamic Courts at that point of time, to show that there is this engagement intellectually in this region. So I just want to highlight that when we talk about diversity or da'wah for that matter, we are not talking about interfaith, between faith, but we're also talking about within the faith itself. How do we overcome that? And I think as our previous speaker, Pak Andi Darmawan, has said, that it's important to understand this pluralism and diversity. So I want to now quickly, in maybe 10 minutes or so, to look at, are Muslims here becoming conservative, or are they becoming more liberal? We must look at what happened in the 1970s, for that matter, to look at the influences of external ideologies and how it shapes Southeast Asian Islam. We have the Muslim Brotherhood, we have Salafism, Wahhabism, we have the Iranian Revolution coming in, which adds more color to this diversity. And we must be mindful of this diversity to basically highlight what are good developments, what are developments that are mainly curtailing or stopping us from becoming pluralistic or accepting of differences. This is another example of Islamic revivalism happening in Southeast Asia. And today, we are also experiencing the challenges of the new media. And this is a book which I co-edited with Professor Ahmad Najib Burhani from LIPI, which mainly talks about the rise of the new century, mainly the influence of social media on the kinds of Islamic discourses and diversity in this part of the world. Of course, now Indonesia is of course confronting with new developments such as Sharia lifestyle. I think this is something that we need to tackle in trying to reach out to other communities as well. But we talk about conservatism. I mean, academics out there talks about conservatism in Indonesia, but they forget that there are also progressives in the country that tries to negotiate these differences. So we have people like NU chairman, Quraish Shihab, we have even Muhammadiyah leaders, who are actually fronting a different kind of Islam. And this happens in Singapore too. So there are progressive voices. Sorry, I'm going through very quickly because I want to have more time for question and answers. There are also progressive voices in Southeast Asia that mainly tries to point out that there's this diversity. Now, comes to my second point here in my presentation. How do we then manage this diversity, right? Because we want to talk about, before we even talk about Dakwah, I mean, that's the role of theologians, that's the role of missionaries. But as an academic or as an academic institution, as a university, I think we also have to understand how do we manage, how do we understand diversity first before we even talk about Dakwah. I mean, that Dakwah part, I leave it to you. But social sciences and humanities is something that we need in our curriculum. I think Indonesia, if I may say this, is at the forefront of this in terms of Islamic studies. Compared to the Middle Eastern universities that I have studied, Indonesia has a lot of potential to basically highlight the significance of this kind of subjects to its students. So what are some of the approaches? Statistical methods, questionnaires, quantitative, right? Which tries to understand complexity of society. Right? Of course, sciences, we tend to look about equations, quantitative, right? But there are many other approaches that we need to understand the differences on the ground. There are many subjects out there, economics, sociology, anthropology, political science, that can in a way be integrated to our understanding of Islamic studies, right? So I just highlight a few. Again, I don't have much time to look at this. Some of the approaches, sociology, anthropology, political science, and even literature is an important subject in order for us to understand the thinking of the people on the ground. So just to quickly summarize, right? Social science is an important avenue to understand causality. What causes a certain phenomena? Is it a religious problem? Is it an orientation problem? Or should we look at other factors that leads to certain understanding of Islam? Okay, so we need to understand, for instance, how do we measure a certain phenomena? People like to talk like this. Indonesian Muslims are moderate Muslims. People like to talk like that. But how do we measure it? There are certain indicators. Women's rights, is there freedom of religion? Is there equality to resources? Are they practicing Islam beyond rituals or values? What is the perception towards minority? If you tick all these boxes, then you can say Indonesian Muslims are moderate. I give another hypothesis. Nahdlatul Ulama is an effective organization. Okay, but how do we measure it? Is there equal allocation of resources among pesantren? Are they open to leadership transition? So you need to understand the measurements before we make such statements. Another example of social science technique. Indonesia's religious education is effective. Okay, but how do we measure it? Salary of graduates? Good? Bad? Employability of the graduates? Is there an element of entrepreneurship? So we need social science to navigate such statements. Then we can prove to the world that that we are meeting all these variables mentioned. So just to quickly highlight that, there is quantitative. We can use statistical methods. We can use qualitative. We go down to the ground, interview, meet the people, understand problems, understand diversity. We can also use discourse analysis to look at, publications, literature, and so on. These are some examples of my work. So I do mostly qualitative. I went to interview people. I look at muftis in the region, mufti and ulama in the region. So you can see lots of my photos are dealing with the ulamas and muftis in Southeast Asia. I also conduct participant observation. And I think this is what Islamic studies students need to do. Beyond understanding text, beyond understanding classical text and reading classical text, you need to be on the ground to talk to people, to understand the sentiments on the ground. All right, I'll conclude by saying that in a globalized world, diversity is a norm. We have to navigate differences. We have to understand history and processes that leads to this diversity. We are not here to mainly tolerate differences. I think in Dakwah, sometimes you tend to tolerate, but you don't appreciate the differences, right? We need to also understand the causes of problems. It should not be only seen as a religious problem. Ini masalah Islam, ini masalah agama. No, you must also understand the certain dynamics at play, social classes, socialization. I also argue that social science and humanities are important tools to understand the causes of problems. And more importantly, diversity is not only interfaith, but also intrafaith. My last point is that we should not be, in Dawah in particular, in sharing about religion, we should not talk about self-glorification all the time, how fantastic we are. We need to understand that Orientalism and Occidentalism at play. We also need to talk about serious issues and problems in our community. Then I think that gives a more realistic picture of our society. So I'll stop there, and I thank you once again for inviting me, and I really look forward for your questions and comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sahril Saad. It was so amazing. Dr. Sahril Saad already taught us how to use methodological approach in order to be more down to earth as a Muslim and also as practitioners, I guess. How to use qualitative and qualitative approach in order to be, as I mentioned before, to be more grounded and to be closer to the people. Thank you very much, Dr. Sahril Saad. So this is the time to the audiences to give the questions and comments or opinions to the speakers, all of the speakers. Anybody already written in the chat box? I will check first. Kuni, would you like to read the question?
Okay, to all speakers, the first is actually this question is really for me. Yeah, thank you very much to all the great speakers. Yeah, I want to address my question to all the speakers. Yeah, talking about terrorism. Yeah, this is the worldwide issues, and sadly, they accuse Islam as a nest of terrorists. Yeah, as a radical religious. But this is actually wrong because we find happiness, we find peace of Islam in around us. So according to you all, what should we do as a ordinary Muslim? Yeah, to spread out this message of beautiful Islam, this frame of Southeast Islamic Asia. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the opportunity to the last speaker, the Dr. Sahril Saad.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I will address the question. I think then I will leave it to my previous two colleagues. Pak MD to address. Yeah, it's a very good topic. Very good. I mean, this whole idea of associating terrorism to religious teachings, and of course, after 9/11, Muslims have been under the spotlight. But if you read Edward Said's work on Orientalism, this whole idea of imaging Islam, imaging native communities have always been there. This is because the problem is that we tend to homogenize every single thing and relate the behavior of certain groups to the problem of religion. And I want to reiterate once again, this is where social sciences is important, because in social sciences, we tend to understand the various disciplines. We tend to understand problems in a more complex way. Why do certain groups become terrorists? There are many factors beyond religion. It could be social class, it could be education, it could be minority groups. So there are many complexity. And this is where I think we need to explain to the people out there that it's complex. So I think what we can do is that we can continue to speak out and try to say that, that this is against Islam, but we try to also understand other contributing factors that leads to terrorism, which applies to all societies, not only Muslim societies. Radicalism is not a Muslim problem only. It's a problem in other societies. It's a problem throughout history of civilizations. So we need to understand that. And this is where social sciences is important. On the other hand, we also need to be mindful and tell our Muslim friends that we should not treat the West the same way as well. We should not say they are problematic because they are Western. We should appreciate that there are good things coming up from the West as well. So I think this is where we need to be fair in our assessment of ourselves and fair to assess other people outside. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Dr. Sahril Saad. So the second answer will be given by Dr. Andi Darmawan. Can you please?
Okay, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, moderator. Questions for the first Al-Ghifari from International Islamic University, Malaysia. Okay, thank you, Al-Ghifari. There are 3 steps to implement it. First, we should identify the level of people understanding and to whom their loyalty is given. Second, the need for patients to carry out literacy on religious moderation. Third, so far, loyalty has always been responded violently. That's why it only makes the problem more crystallized. Therefore, understanding Islamic values requires expert perspective in saying and understanding a problem. Like this, Mr. Al-Ghifari. And the next for all those questions. Basically, the discourse on multicultural dawah. I'm sorry, this answer for the first questions. Basically, the discourse on multicultural dawah, of which talk about religious moderation. So, what needs to be prioritized is moderation in terms of our perspective, not religions. As for conflicts, conflicts that often occur as a result of understanding religious discourse are wrong. Like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Darmawan. The third answer will be given. We will ask Purkon Hidayat, DBA. Are you here? Are you still here, Dr. Purkon? Hello.
Okay. Thank you very much. There's a interesting discussion. I think presently Dr. Darmawan and Dr. Sahril has 2 different process. I think Islam in the South Asia is just, and now the concern in the Middle East. I think according the Mr. Nur Sahril, Indonesia has a lot of potential. I think this is true. In my opinion, this is we need effort to introduce for more Islam moderate in the South Asia, especially Islam Nusantara from Nahdlatul Ulama and Islam Berkemajuan from Muhammadiyah, enter to a Middle East. Yes, I think Southeast Asia is the rich in the cultural treasures with the peace value that this can be extract. The history of the enter of the Islam in the region is the different from the Middle East. I think this we can create the metaphor and the I think in the view of the future studies and future Dawah in the metaverse is has the problem of terrorism, has the problem of radicalism, and it tools is with the blockchain, with the cryptocurrency, and terrorists can take for paying. And it is, I think this is the very problems. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Purkon Hidayat. Any other questions? Anybody raise hand? I don't think so. Should we finish or can we continue to hear some presentation more from the speakers? So the time for this session and the end of the conference will be at 12 o'clock. So we still have around 30 minutes. Ibu Hikmah, should we finish the conference now? Any other question? Oh, okay. According to Ibu Hikmah as the secretary and also the person in charge for this conference, if there is no more answer, we can finish the conference. And thank you very much again for all of the speakers, and my appreciation to all of you and also to all the participants. Needless to me to conclude the conference, but I would like to give underline that the global issue facing by the people in the world, in this contemporary world, such as terrorism, fanatism, and also religious fundamentalism is not only dealt by a Muslim world, but also by people in general. And it is important to us to use not only a theological approach or ilm al-kalam and so on and so forth, but also we should to employ other disciplines, even multidisciplines, in order to exploring and addressing the issue of the global world that we are facing, which is also the issues of humanity and diversity. Thank you very much again to all the speakers and the participants and also the committees. Thank you very much, and I would like to apologize if I have mistakes, and sorry for the inconvenience. And see you next time. And before we finish the conference, I would like to give the time to the Master of Ceremony, and we can take picture together. Bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, thank you very much to Andayani for guiding our second conference today. And thank you to all distinguished speakers for joining our webinar today. Ladies and gentlemen, those all this conference, and finally we come to the end session. But before we close our agenda, to all the participants, please do not leave the room and turn on your camera. We will take picture together. The committee will handle this photo session. Let me guide. Yeah, the first screen. 1, 2, 3, smile. Next. 1, 2, 3. The third screen. 1, 2, 3. And the last. Thank you very much to all the participants.
Thank you for joining the conference today. I'm Sofi Nafi, lecturer of the Dakwah Management Department, and my friends, Kuri Hasana, student of Social Work Department, Dakwah and Communication Faculty. As the master of ceremony, we do apologize if we have any mistakes, and let's close our agenda today by saying Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. See you again on the next event. Nun wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.